Okay, now the Fairfax is one I believe we've gone over before. Entering in here, again, path of travel we're going to cover, then we're going to talk about critical cones. So we drop in here, we have a nice U-turn left into a full circle, and then we're just essentially doing a almost like an offset cone weave looking deal, but it's a much more articulated path of travel. So long sweeping U-turn left, long sweeping U-turn right, 90 left into a U-turn right, into a 90 left. Okay, pretty simple, looks pretty roomy. Let's talk about critical cones that we want to be careful of. So we've identified these two cones, obviously our enter point. Excellent. We're making a 90 left, U-turn left, so this cone, absolutely. This being a full circle, I would still argue that this cone is a danger and this cone is a danger, because over time, especially in practice day, we're going to start trying to figure out how we can cut the size of this circle down and cheat it to save time. And you're going to see a lot of people kind of dive in this way, because where does it go? Well, it goes down here. So you're going to see people kind of dive in there to save time, and you're most likely going to risk hitting that. They're going to do the same thing once they make the first circle. They're going to clip this cone trying to cut up here. So they're going to try to turn this into a football more than a circle. And anytime you do that, yeah, your path of travel is shorter, but you're going to hit these cones, and like we talked about, depending on timelines for getting around this pattern, what the penalties are, that's a big no-no, potentially. Some are, hey, if the cone doesn't fall over, there's no penalty, you can scrape it, touch it, then yeah, let's cut this thing down and see if we can save some time. So it's important for you also, don't get me wrong, you don't want to hit cones. End of story. You don't want to hit cones. We want to be as careful as we can and as smart as we can. And in a lot of these competitions, the way that they really view cones is that's a pedestrian, that's a bicyclist, that's a car, that's a a hard object. We don't want to touch. We don't want to hit anything. And when we go roll around writing sites, we're not hitting stuff. This is a competition. This is to test our skills, push our skills, try new things. So for me, if this is a cone with a tennis ball on it with a 3-second penalty if that ball falls off, and it's an average of my 2 runs, there's no way I'm going to try to cheat this. It's just not safe. There's no way I'll make that time up. So I'm going to swing way out. But in a case like this, if it's knock the cone over and it's a 1-second penalty, but if it tips back and forth and nothing falls down, then you're good. Yeah, I'm gonna see what I can push here, especially on my second run, and especially if it's best of 2 runs, best of 3 runs. Well, hell, I'm gonna lay down a first run that's pretty safe and pretty competitive, and then I'm gonna start getting greedy and see what we can push just to make it more exciting and challenge myself. So I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. So anyways, these cones, definitely risky. These ones here, when we're swinging out, I'd say no, not compared to this. And again, I don't see an inside cone here, so we'll get into that. So I think these cones are dangerous for sure. And I understand based on the path of travel, we're safe and we're pushing out here, but we're not pushing out here in a way that's because we have to. We're pushing out here because we're getting strategic, and that's the line we're choosing. And the only thing that's getting close to a cone like this is our front wheel. Our bikes lean to the inside. So when we're making a sweeping U-turn right, the bike's really risking tagging these with a saddlebag. This thing, yes, you're risking rolling the base with the front wheel, but it's not a risk. So these outside cones, these not a problem. These not a problem. This one, definitely a problem. These two, definitely a problem. These, not a problem. This one could be a problem, and this is pretty open, so we're going to look at that. Definitely these and these. So let's go through this one more time. Now we're going to talk about path of travel. You came in here at an angle. That's good. Nice and sweeping. Good. Full circle. I'm going to say yes. This isn't a problem. I'm not going to worry about that cone. But definitely a circle is meaningful more than what we talked about, kind of cutting this down like a football or an oval. Once we come through here, we're up high, but these aren't a risk factor. We have a lot of room here, and because I don't see another cone down here, This is one of those things I'm probably going to come in a little deeper and push myself up earlier than you, more like up here. And I'm just going to drop in more like this. So I'm going to cut the fat out of some of this stuff here, okay? But the way to do that is on my second, I'm going to do a full circle. On my second circle, I might start cutting in so that brings me, so it's easier for me to set up to come up here earlier. Once I'm up here earlier, like I said, I can cut down earlier. Once I can cut down earlier, I'm cutting my path of travel down. Then I'm up here. I like this line up here high. I like that line. Something I might do here, optional, I might swing out here so that I can cheat these a little bit. So this cone's kind of risky, but by the time I'm here, I'm already starting to work left, so this cone will be risky. But I'm cutting this thing down, and it's especially this section here, from here to here, I'm kind of trying to create a straighter line, and really what's going to dictate that is where I go from here. So you're cutting out some fat with your line here, but you're really facilitating having to push out, and this is going to be a little bit slower, much safer. That road race line is definitely safer. But again, because this pattern looks pretty wide and they're not penalizing me for things like a second cone here, I might push myself out here and try to shoot this little section here. Depending on where this goes, if this then you know, makes a U-turn, like let's just say your line here continued that way, then I would do it exactly how you have it, and set up so that I could drop in, if that makes sense. Nice job. I think it was pretty good.